Android or iOS? Which is better? This question has plagued the tech community for almost 7 years now. We are entering that debate today. I am Ethan Timber and welcome to Technology Does Bite. Speaking for Apple and iOS, we have with us Athang Tikekar, certified Apple fanboy. Athang, welcome to the pilot episode of Technology Does Bite. Thank you, Ethan. Glad to be here. Now, let me explain how this is going to work. My role today is only of a facilitator. I am not siding with any side of the argument. I will say what Android lovers usually say, and we will hear what Athang, an iOS and Apple fan, has to say about that. Before we begin the discussion, Athang, please tell our viewers which handsets you have used over the years. Well, like many of us, my first handset was a Nokia 3310. I used that for a couple of years. My first color display phone was a Nokia 6220. Then, not in any order of use, a Nokia 2300, Nokia 6800, my first touchscreen phone Nokia 7710, Nokia N90, N72, E65, Engage QD, Nokia 5833. I have also used the Motorola Razr, Sony Ericsson W550i, Samsung Star Touch and Samsung Wave 2. Sony Ericsson Neo V was my first Android phone. Then Samsung Galaxy S2. Then I got the iPhone 5 and finally I am using the iPhone 6 Plus. I have also used for a short time iPhone 3GS, iPhone 4, Nokia X7, BlackBerry Pearl, Nexus 5, MI3 and the Red MI1S. Whoa! So a lot of different phones and with them different softwares as well. Tell us, which of these phones is your favorite? Currently it's the 6 Plus, but I really love the Engage QD. I used it when I was in college and for me, it fulfilled all my requirements. In fact, I bought it for 3 times. Really? Yeah. First one was stolen, second one was damaged in rains. This is actually the third piece which I have still preserved. It is also the phone I have used for the longest duration before moving on to the next model. Okay, so based on your experience, is it safe to say that you are an expert in mobile technology? I don't think you can call me an expert yet, but I certainly know what I'm talking about and I have done enough research to know what to talk about. Tell us, why do you hate Android? No, it's not that I hate Android. I have used Android phones in the past, but I hate that Android users call iOS users names and insist that Android is better. Android is not better. There have been many tests done by people much smarter than you and me between Android and iOS. Every time in every test, iOS has been placed at the top. But still Android users proclaim that Android beats iOS. It's not true. If it were, nobody would have bought iPhones and Apple wouldn't have posted such high profits. Those profits are only because iPhone is an expensive device. Not at all. So many people have bought the phone in spite of it being priced higher than other phones. That has to mean something, right? Yes, of course. But then Android lovers say, why buy something at such a high price when you can get something similar at a much lower price? Not even a point of argument. It depends on an individual. If you ask me, I find it absolutely ridiculous that people spend so much money on buying branded clothes, branded shoes, branded watches, when they can have something similar at a much lower price. I mean, people have been buying watches for 1 lakh, 2 lakh rupees since a long time. And what does a traditional watch do? It just shows time. Why do they do it then when much cheaper option is available? Why would someone pay 2000 rupees for a wallet when you can get same thing for 200 rupees? But there are people who do that, and they are not wrong or even stupid like Android lovers call us. Everyone has the right to spend the money that they earn the way they want to. And believe me, many more people can still afford iPhones. How? How can a common man afford an iPhone? Just reduce your wasteful expenditure. People smoke, drink, go out to clubs. I think it's absolutely unnecessary. I have friends who, on an average, smoke 3 packets every day. They drink at least once a week. They spend anywhere between 6 to 7,000 rupees every month on smoking, another 3 to 4,000 on drinking and doing things which they don't even remember the next morning. Stop doing all that. Your health will improve, your looks will improve, your family will start appreciating you, you will be more focused on work, and you will be able to buy that iPhone with the savings that you do. Don't call us stupid because we iOS lovers choose to buy a product that is better than your Android product. But what do you say to the fact that about 80% of smartphone users are using Android phone or Android OS, whereas iOS only commands 14% of the market share? I knew you were going to ask me this. These are the numbers shared by IDC, right? Okay. First, tell me, how does IDC calculate market share? No? It is calculated on basis of shipments. That is, how many devices leave the company warehouse. It does not factor in how many of those devices are actually purchased by people, how many are still in the store, how many were given away for free, or how many of them are actually being used. Second, let's talk about market share. What good is market share when it does not bring you any money? I'll give you an example. This show will be broadcast on TV channel or where? YouTube. YouTube is available almost worldwide. I think only few countries have banned it. So the market share of YouTube is like maybe 90% of the world. Now I don't know your business model, so I can't comment on your earnings. But when will you benefit the most out of broadcasting this episode on YouTube? When maximum people watch the show. When people watch the show, you can claim that we are broadcasting on a platform that has got 90% market share, but you are not going to benefit unless somebody watches it. So now I ask you, what is the use of 80% market share when not one company making Android phones is earning any money? Sony Ericsson is on the verge of selling its mobile business according to the roadmap that they released. HTC has reported 11 consecutive quarters of declining profits. Samsung has already imploded. Just the other day I read that they have stopped wages of their employees. Can you imagine the kind of condition they must be in order to ask their employees to work for them without pay? All major players in Android have lost the battle of revenue and are surviving because of their other businesses. So, market share means nothing if the manufacturers cannot sustain their own companies. Third, there have been many discrepancies reported in the way IDC calculates the market share. IDC constantly manipulates the data to show Android is doing better than iOS, when usage and real-world statistics tells us otherwise. Now you will ask, what IDC has to gain from incorrectly reporting the data? Obviously money. Is it so hard to believe that Google might be paying IDC to manipulate the data? What about companies like XOMI? They seem to be doing fine. It is called as Xiaomi, and yes, they seem to be doing fine. Let us understand why. They sell their handsets at a very low price. That means they sell it at a very low profit margin. Their actual income is from the services they offer in China, where Google services are not pre-installed on their phones. In other countries where Google services are pre-installed, their profit margins drop. Why are their phones so popular? Because they copied Apple. They copied Apple in their software. People say that it's a different version of Android, but I say it's actually a different version of iOS. It does not have an app drawer. It has got multiple scrolling pages. It has the settings pane is exactly a copy of iOS. They stress on the design of the phone, like Apple. They are following Apple in everything they do. They even have an iPad replica. In fact, if you think about it, you have to copy Apple if you want to be successful in the mobile market. Tell me, which was the most successful company in mobiles besides Apple?
Samsung.
Yes, Samsung. Let us understand how they got successful. Before iPhone was launched, Samsung had the Star series of touch-based phones. They had really crappy OS and really crappy touchscreens. Samsung tasted success with Android and the Galaxy S. Galaxy S was a direct copy of the 3GS. The OS had the same icons. The look of the phone was similar to 3GS. You can't deny it because Apple sued Samsung and Apple won. Samsung then launched S2, which was a copy of iPhone 4. That phone was a runaway success. Samsung got cocky. They released S3, where they crammed all possible software functions. That again was a hit, riding on the wave of success of the S2. But then they got really overconfident. They launched S4, moving away from the iPhone design because Apple had already won the case. That phone failed miserably. However, Samsung did not learn. They launched S5, again different from iOS and iPhone. S5 failed. It failed. Now they have decided enough is enough. We are going back to our basics. Of course, for Samsung, going back to basics means copying Apple, which is quite evident from the design of S6. Currently, Xiaomi is enjoying success only because of their pricing and copying Apple. But understand, while they will continue to copy Apple design, they cannot sustain this low cost, low profit margin business model for a long time. They need to generate revenue. So they will have to increase the price of their phones, and once they increase the price, they will lose out on customers. In fact, it is evident in the Mi4 sale. The last sale of Mi3 saw 2.5 lakh registrations for 20,000 units, which were sold out in 2.3 seconds. But Mi4 saw only 3 lakh registrations for 25,000 units and took 15 seconds to sell out. This means that while Xiaomi increased stock by 25%, registrations dropped by 4%, and the time taken to sell stock increased 652%. Why do you think that is? Don't say it's Flipkart. It is not because of Flipkart, because Flipkart was fully prepared for the MI4 sale, having learned from MI3 and the Redmi 1S phone. That is a lot of math for me, and I think this is a good time to tell our viewers this entire interview is posted on our blog with all the links and calculations. The blog address is technologydoesbyte.wordpress.com. That's byte spelled as BYTE. And on that note, we are going to take a short break. We'll be right back after a word from our sponsors.
Seconds.
Slow.
30 seconds.
Round comb. Give me the round comb.
Ten, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
Welcome back everybody to Technology Does Byte. So Athang, according to you, copying Apple is inevitable to be successful in mobile industry? That is how it appears to be. Companies like HTC, Sony, Motorola, Lenovo, they are just surviving. They are not actually earning anything from their mobile division. Only Samsung and Xiaomi have had stellar success, and they have both copied Apple. Samsung has actually taken shameless copying to an all-new level with the Galaxy S6. If S6 becomes successful, it will further strengthen my argument. It is strange that while copying Apple design seems to be working for other companies, nobody is able to emulate the Apple business model. Apple designs own hardware and software. Google tried to copy that by purchasing Motorola, but they had to sell off with loss. Samsung has already tried and failed with Bada. Now they are trying with Tizen and it doesn't look like they are on the road to success. Microsoft purchased Nokia, but it is nowhere in the mobile business. Apple is the only company which is actually earning from the sale of mobile phones. You also said something about IDC manipulating data and real-world statistics. Please elaborate. IDC says that 80% of market share belongs to Android. So the usage should obviously be very high. Obviously. But photo sharing site Flickr reports that iPhone is the smartphone camera most used on their website for 4 years in a row. In 2014, the top 4 camera phones on Flickr were iPhones. iPhone is the most used phone for online shopping. iPhone is the most used phone for browsing. iPhone is the most used phone for playing games. iPhone is the most used phone for reading books. So the real question is, what are Android users doing with their phones, and how does market share matter if nobody is using the phone? But then it is also possible that Apple might be paying sites like Flickr to manipulate their data. Yes, it most certainly is possible that Apple might be paying them. That is why I said to consider usage and the real world statistics. Meaning what exactly? Let's look at celebrities. All celebrities are using iPhones. Just follow their Instagram accounts, you will see. Even celebrities who are paid by Samsung or other companies for endorsements, use iPhone for their personal use. Look at Ellen DeGeneres. During the Oscar ceremony, she clicked that famous selfie with the Samsung phone. But then, all other photos for that night were clicked on iPhone. Wouldn't Ellen, if she really liked Samsung phones, have continued to use that phone for the rest of the night? Oprah Winfrey, the famous talk show host, tweeted that she bought 12 Microsoft Surface tablets from her iPad. Alicia Keys, BlackBerry's creative director, she sent a personal tweet from her iPhone. David Beckham signed a deal with Samsung to be an ambassador in 2012, but he is constantly spotted with his iPhone. Jessica Alba was doing ads for Microsoft. When she was spotted with an iPhone, Microsoft released a statement that she uses her Lumia from time to time. Tennis player David Ferrer tweeted that he is setting up S-Help on his Galaxy S4 from an iPhone. Kate Upton, famous supermodel, she's a model for Samsung, bought her iPhone to a Samsung event. All these celebrities have been caught using iPhones even when they are paid by other companies to endorse their products. Even the PR agency for BlackBerry recently tweeted that conversations should continue on a BlackBerry, but it was a tweet from an iPhone. The reason why I say to look at celebrities is because the internet has their photo with the iPhones. Let us look at product placement. Almost every ad that you see will place an Apple product. The easiest being iPhone. You will see iPhone, iPad, Mac, even Safari browser being used. This is true even in India. And don't say Apple is paying OLX to put iPhones in their ads. In fact, even competitors of iPhone have to place iPhone in their ads so that people will take notice. I'm not kidding. Look at ads from Samsung, Microsoft and Xiaomi. They regularly use iPhone in their ads. They are advertising their products but are still compelled to place iPhones. Why can't they simply talk about their phones in their ads? Because they know they have nothing to talk about. Let us look at the usage of the phone. iPhone is used to shoot so many ads. There are many ads shot and edited on iPad. Even entire films like Tangerine, it was recently showcased in a film festival. An entire episode of Modern Family was shot using Apple products. Not only are these people shooting on iPhones and iPads, they are making a big deal out of it. iPhone can be used to compose music. GarageBand is the best music making app. You can even connect your guitar to the phone or iPad. That is not possible yet on Android. I have yet to see an app that can compete with GarageBand or iMovie in the Android store. This episode is shot entirely on the iPhone. 90% of the editing, I'll be doing it in iMovie. Even my previous videos were done entirely on iPhone. Check my YouTube channel if you want. The blog which you gave out previously, that is being managed from an iPhone. If Android products have 80% market share and they are so good, why isn't anybody using them? Why do you think this is? Why is Android never featured near the top in the usage report? I think it boils down to the experience the user has while using the phone. When I pick up my iPhone and open any app, I know that it is going to start within 2 to 3 seconds and it will continue to work without crashing. Apps for iOS are better coded than Android. They are more responsive, more fluid. It might be due to the core structure of iOS, or maybe Apple rejects subpar apps, I don't know. But the experience of using any app on iPhone is always better than using the same app on Android. Also, the battery life is important. Even though Android manufacturers have increased the capacity of battery in their phones, you still have to charge them every now and then. most of the Android phones around me are always connected to the charging cable. In fact, one of my friends call Android phones as landlines. So as an Android user, I would rather surf or browse or shop on my PC than on my Android phone. How do you respond to people saying that iPhone has lower specifications hardware wise than Android phones? I respond by saying that hardware does not matter. Hardware should not matter. What matters is how the phone works. Whether it uses 1 GB RAM or 3 GB RAM is same material. What matters is I shouldn't have to clear my RAM just to make a phone call. What matters is I shouldn't have to close down my running apps to make my phone work properly. The experience of using a phone, a device that's with you all day long, doesn't boil down to what boxes get checked. The experience is driven by quality, hardware and software, attention to detail, how the device works in any situation. And in such matters, iPhone blows away the competition. My question is this: why do Android phones need such high configuration to work? Why should Android need 3 GB RAM to perform basic activities? I mean, my first PC had only 512 MB RAM and it could still do more complex tasks than phones do. And it still worked better than the Android phone. This was in 2002. So sure, Android phones brag about RAMs and CPUs, but have they ever thought, why does Android OS need such a big RAM and so many CPUs? Why do you think Android needs such big hardware? For that, we will have to understand how Android, as we see it today, came into existence. Android was not developed by Google. Android was an individual company developing OS for button-based phones. They were developing it as an alternative for Nokia's Symbian OS. Google purchased Android in 2005 and started making changes so that it will support core Google services like search, maps, Gmail, etc. They even made prototype handsets to test the OS on. But it was still being developed as an OS for button phones. Then in 2007, Apple launched iPhone. Google realized that this was a game changer. Their own engineers said that what they were working on was looking outdated in comparison of iPhone. So what could they do? They bought the iPhone, made a list of features iPhone does not provide, and started working on Android again. However, they could not completely scratch the work they have been doing for all these years. So Android became a software developed for button phones but optimized for touch-based input. This is even evident in the menu structure of Android. It has a back button like Symbian. It has a menu button like Symbian. It has a home screen and app drawer like Symbian. It supports MNC like Symbian. It allows you to install app from any source like Symbian. It allows you to connect the mobile phone like a USB drive on your PC like Symbian. Still, they were not completely confident about the touchscreen. That is why the first Android phone, HTC Dream, released in 2008, a full year after the iPhone was released, featured a slide-out keyboard as a secondary input. That did not work. So they started experimenting with different input methods like trackball. Tell me, if you have a 3-inch touchscreen phone, will you use a tiny ball to navigate around the screen? Because of this mismatch, Android was never polished. They were so busy in trying to catch up to the iPhone that they ignored the optimization of Android. It was buggy, slow, and really bad. So the manufacturing companies must have gone back to Google when they started receiving these complaints. Google says, increase your hardware, that might make it better. That also gave manufacturing companies something to talk about their handsets. I mean, you couldn't talk about the OS, it was bad. You couldn't talk about services, they had none. You couldn't talk about display or photo quality, it was poor. They couldn't talk about security, Android did not have it. They couldn't talk about enterprise support because Android did not have it. They couldn't talk about touch response because it was really bad. In fact, in Android version 4, Google implemented Project Butter to improve the touch response of OS. But that means that they are accepting the previous versions of OS were not up to the mark for touch response. Their keyboard was really bad in comparison of the iPhone. In fact, I think the swipe method of typing had to be invented because you couldn't type fast on Android phones. So with so many shortcomings, how does one actually sell the handset? You start talking about RAM and cores and memory card support. I am of the opinion that for a device as small as a mobile phone, if you need 3 GB of RAM to do daily activities, there is definitely something wrong with the software's RAM management. And it is not as if Google can't fix it. They won't fix it. They have the money and the resources, but they won't fix it. Why won't they fix it? Because then they will have nothing to talk about for their phones against the iPhone. What about the fact that Android is more customizable than iOS? I'm really tired of hearing people say that. What do people mean when they say that Android is more customizable? You can install themes, you can change the ringtones. No, you can do much more. You can install launchers, you can install third-party keyboards, you can install different ROMs. Okay, you can do all that. But you know what happens due to this, right? You are installing many third-party apps that need to stay open in background to work. So you start experiencing lag in your phone. You start getting crashes. On my Sony Ericsson Neo V and Galaxy S2, I was using Go Launcher with Cider theme. That made all the animations work smoothly. But it made my phones really slow. The dialer app would take like 5-6 seconds to open. So I had the animations, but the working of the phone became slow. If I removed the launcher, I had to settle with either Timescape of Sony Ericsson or TouchWiz of Samsung, and both were horrible according to me. And what do you do when the launcher app crashes? You lose all that settings. You forget what you have customized. In fact, whenever I used to restart my Sony or my Samsung phone, Go Launcher would not display some apps. Eventually you get so tired of the crashes that you just say whatever is there on the phone by default, that's fine. Just that the phone should not crash again. About ROMs, understand that Google does not allow you to install ROMs. You have to first root the phone in order to be able to install it. So I will not consider that as an argument against iOS, because if that's the case, then I can talk about the things that can be done after jailbreaking the iPhone, and these are the things that can't even be dreamed of on an Android. And let's say you do all that stuff like changing the ROM and the look of the battery indicator, then what? You still have to use the buggy phone, you still can't edit a movie on it, you still can't make music, the speed of the camera will still not improve, it will still take 6-7 seconds to open WhatsApp, won't it? So what's the point of all that customization?
Whoa, ho, ho! Things are heating up in here. Don't go anywhere, folks. We'll take a short break and be right back after a few words from our sponsors.
Seconds.
Man, it is so hot in here. Don't we have any fans or ACs?
No, Ethan. We don't even have sponsors.
What? Who was supposed to get the sponsors?
You? You are the producer, right?
Yeah, okay.
30 seconds.
असं चालू राहू द्या.
10. 5, 4, 3.
Welcome back everybody to Technology Does Bite. Athang, what do you think of the new Android Lollipop? Android lovers love the new material design. Yes, they have improved a lot on the design. But should they be wasting their time and resources on making design changes? After all, Android's native UI is the first thing most handset makers throw out the window. They could have improved battery life, they could have improved security, they could have improved performance, and they could have found out a way to reduce fragmentation issues. You do know that there are many apps which cannot run on phones that have NVIDIA chipsets. Google could have done something about it. CyanogenMod has openly stated that they want to take Android away from Google. There are 13.2 Android devices which still run on software released in 2011. And this is as per Google's own statistics. These hundreds of thousands of devices do not have the latest software, which means they do not get the latest features, they won't get the latest apps, and more importantly, they don't have the latest security patches. If not a new OS, at least Google should have released a security patch for these hundreds of thousands of phones. But what does Google do? They decide to go with a new look, material design. Why? Because Apple brought in the new look with iOS 7. Yes, I think Google could improve the core OS for Android. Even other manufacturers should not waste their time on increasing RAMs and cores. They can improve on other things like moving up to 64-bit processors. It is 2 years now since 64-bit processors have been launched in iOS with the iPhone 5s, but Android is still struggling with that technology. Qualcomm's Snapdragon 810 was the chipset expected to lead the charge, but production issues have forced manufacturers to delay the products into Q3 of 2015. iPhone 5s also launched fingerprint security. Can you imagine that no other company besides Apple has implemented fingerprint security on their phones? It has been available for 2 years now. Still no one has done it right. Samsung has implemented such crappy sensors that nobody uses it. They can improve their cameras, not just increase the megapixels. They can improve their earphones that they give out with the phones to include more functions. What are your thoughts on this megapixel war that is going on? Actually, it has slowed down now. It is not as crazy as it was a few years back. But still, I never understood it. I mean, I understand why it started, but I don't understand what the need for it is. Why did it start? Android phones started boasting about the megapixels to counter iPhone's camera. But why not make the entire camera system better rather than increase just the megapixels? Megapixels are important when you have to take a printout of that photo. Otherwise, it is not important for taking a good picture. Even actual cameras and DSLRs have only 10 megapixel default lenses, but they have better sensors, better color reproduction systems to give better results. Why not spend your resources on improving all the other factors instead of just increasing the megapixels? Android lovers say that iOS is a closed system and Android is an open system. What do you say to that? What do you do with an open system? A developer might need access to different internal system folders. But is everyone who is using an Android phone a programmer? One of the features of Android phone is to transfer files using PC. Simply copy and paste. But what about the hassles of remembering where each file is stored? I had duplicate files in the S2 just because I could not remember where the file was stored. With the iPhone and iTunes, the user does not have to worry where each file goes. Simply select the files you want to sync to the phone. All the files at once, be it music, photos, apps, voice memos, contacts, emails. Just press sync. No need to manually move each file to a specific folder. iTunes will do that for you. The backup and restore function of iTunes is one of the most reliable options to ensure that your data is safe. When you connect the phone to iTunes, it backs up all your data, including app data. So you do not lose progress of that game that you have been playing. Once you download an app, you never have to download it again as a copy is kept on your PC. You only have to update it, but it is possible on the PC as well. In a country like India, where internet data plans for mobiles are still restrictive, this is a boon. This is only possible because Apple has kept the software development in-house and kept it closed. On Android, I cannot do a backup of the phone on PC. If anything happens, as it usually does, I have to re-download all of my apps directly on the phone. My game progress is lost, app data is lost, home screen arrangement is lost. What about Android being compatible with a memory card? Do you remember the days when you were a king if you had a 256 MB card in your Nokia phone? I remember my Engagement days, but even then, I had all my songs and games in that memory. I agree, now the quality of apps and games has made them very large in terms of memory. But then, do you need to have 10 HD games in your device? Now I have a 128 GB phone, but my iPhone 5, which I was using, was a 16 GB. On that phone, I would divide my 13 and odd GB available memory this way. Still, I would have all the music I needed to listen to. I would have all my apps that I needed, including 3 HD games, Six Guns, Injustice Gods Amongst Us, and Galaxy on Fire. The free memory was kept for photos and videos that I would shoot on the phone. Why do you need a memory card at all? You might have 1000 songs in that card, but do you even have the time to listen to them all? You might have 10 movies in the card, but how do you watch it on the go when you don't have the battery life needed? You cannot watch a movie on mobile phone without worrying about the battery. So why do it? Watch a movie on your PC or TV in the comfort of your home, or better yet, watch it in the theater. Inserting memory card has a lot of risks. It can become corrupt, it can get lost, it can get damaged. Someone can steal it and then have access to all your personal data. If the memory card is corrupt, the entire data is lost. There is no chance of recovering the data. Because of your card, your phone slows down further. And you can't move your apps on the card. Apps use up the most space on your phone, but you can't do anything about it. You are sacrificing performance, security, and privacy by using a memory card. Just do a Google search and see how many problems people have with a memory card. These are all the problems that they will not have they been using iPhones. non-user replaceable battery and not having a memory card allowed Apple to give excellent build quality to the iPhone. And guess what? Other manufacturers have started to copy that. The HTC M8, Xiaomi Mi 3, Mi 4. They have been praised for their design and build quality, and they have copied Apple. Now even Samsung S6 has done it. Replaceable battery and memory card support were the only two things that Samsung fans could talk about, and Samsung has taken that away from them as well. What about Android Store having more applications than the Apple Store? Any app that is released will always be released in the Apple App Store first. Google Play Store will get it a day or two later, sometimes even a week later. Because app developers know that most of the earnings will come from the Apple App Store. And as soon as they release it in the Android Store, somebody will crack it, make a copy and release it in the wild. When you search for APK in Google and sideload such apps, you are actually robbing the developers money. And the developers know that. Some apps are available only on the Apple App Store. There is a game called Infinity Blade. It is only available for iOS. That developer is choosing to earn his living by depending only on the App Store, even though Android has market share of more than 80%. Why do you think that is? Apple pays more money to the developers than Google can afford to. Google has all of its core apps for the iOS, whereas Apple does not have a single app for Android. Why is Google so eager to port all their apps on iOS if they have such a huge market share? I can understand if Microsoft does it, as it is trying to get some significance in the mobile world, but why Google? Why not just say, guys, listen, we are Google, we have the maximum market share, we are no longer supporting our services on iOS. If you want to use these services, get an Android device. Why not just say that? I'll tell you why. Google earns its money through advertisement. That has been their primary source of income like forever. So, their job is to ensure that maximum people see the ads through their services. So they try to be present everywhere. I think the only service that they have not monetized through ads is Google Maps. Rest all services have ads in them. Search, email, YouTube. So they really can't quit iOS altogether because there are millions and millions of people on iOS using Google services through iOS. So, why do you love Apple? Besides all the other things that I just mentioned, I think Apple is just great at doing what it's doing. They love making excellent, superior products. They don't just rush into the market with a half-baked device. Look at Apple Watch or Apple Pay. Apple just did not enter these markets for the sake of it. They made sure they had all the technology in place before launching it. Last year, Samsung released 6 versions of its smartwatch. 6 versions. That's like one new product every 2 months. And what was the result? Nobody even bothered to buy it. Google Wallet has failed miserably. But look at Apple Pay. It's a huge success already. In fact, 67% of all contactless payments in January were done on Apple Pay. The warranty provided by Apple is like no other. It is the simplest and the most effective warranty service that I have seen yet. If there is a fault with your phone, just book an appointment at a nearest Apple store. Take the phone with you on the scheduled appointment day. No receipts, no nothing. The Apple technicians will replicate the fault and then they give you a new phone. That's it. No need to keep the phone in the service center. No need to wait 7 or 10 days. No need to use a replacement phone till you get your phone back. A simple exchange at the store right then and there. Come back home, sync it with iTunes, and you will have the phone as you had set it up. No hassles at all. How long did you have to wait to get the latest software update from Android? Phones that are skinned with manufacturer's own software have to wait a long time before the manufacturer releases the update. My S2 got the Jelly Bean 4.1 update after Google had released the 4.2 update. I was still waiting for Jelly Bean 4.2.2 when Google had already released KitKat. As of February this year, 72% of iOS devices are on iOS 8. This is the iOS distribution chart. As opposed to that, for the same month, Android only saw 1.6% of devices on their latest software, Lollipop. This is the Android distribution chart. Do you agree that the latest software release will be the most secure software? Yes, without doubt. Okay, good. Now this is how the distribution of the OS was. What we just agreed about the latest software and security suggests that 97% of Android devices are working on software released in 2013 and are not secure. 97%. That's almost a billion devices which are vulnerable to hacks and virus attacks when financial activities like banking, stock trading, shopping, booking of tickets, etc. are done more on the mobile than on the PC. 97%. Think about it. Accessibility options in the iPhone are unchallenged. Features like voiceover and zoom are helping the visually impaired to enjoy the iPhone. A blind film critic, Tommy Edison, has created lots of YouTube videos which demonstrates how immensely useful iPhone's accessibility features have been for him. What accessibility options does Android have? Wow. You know, Athang, when I first asked you, you said that you don't hate Android, but after listening to your comments and arguments, I don't see any love for it either. Ethan, hate is a very strong word. Let's not say that I hate Android. Let's just say that I despise Android. I loathe Android. Why? Why? Because it's a stolen product. It's a stolen product that has been executed horribly. If you are stealing something, at least make it better than the original. But no, Google copied it and made it worse. I think I just have one more question. What do you say to Android lovers who say that Apple lovers are fanboys? That they will blindly buy anything Apple produces? I say that yes, I am an Apple fanboy. Proud to be one. But I am at least supporting something that is known for making products with the highest quality. A company that is contributing towards the environment. A company that does not allow dangerous apps in its app store. A company which has redefined industries time and again, like personal computing, music, mobile phones, contactless payments, and now smartwatches. And to all the people who call us iSheep, I have two questions. Why isn't any other company able to create fanboys? Someone who will blindly buy their product. Why do you love Android so much when Google does not care for your security, does not care about your privacy, does not care about your data, does not care about making all the apps available to all the phones, does not care about giving you the latest software version on time, does not care about your phone's performance? Why do you love Android? Alright, Android lovers, it's your time to respond. Athang has just slammed the ball in your court. He has asked many questions throughout the interview besides these two. Leave your counter arguments against whatever point Athang has raised in the comments below. And if you think you have all the answers and want to come on this show, contact us via the following methods and we will make it happen. Athang, it was great chatting with you. Thank you very much for sharing your insights and research. Thank you very much, Ethan. I wish that this show gets the maximum viewership possible and that for the next episode, we get an Android fan who can argue for Android some points other than customization. With that, ladies and gentlemen, I bid you adieu. This is Ethan Timber logging off from Technology Does Bite.